The man who was behind the magic in 2016 joins us now. It is Corey Lewandowski, great American, and he is a senior advisor in hopefully recreating that magic here in the 2024 race. Corey, great to see you.
Thanks for having me, Charlie.
So Corey, let's start here. What is the state of the race? It is hard to tell. The media is not giving an accurate depiction or portrayal. You're in the inner sanctum. What's going on? Where do things stand?
Look, where things stand very candidly are Donald Trump is in the greatest position he's ever been in when you look historically, whether it's at 2020 or the 2016 election. He's in a stronger position now in every one of the battleground states than he was 4 or 8 years ago. He's also in a stronger position on the national scale. So while the national polls don't matter, what we're seeing in the battleground states, whether you look at Wisconsin or Pennsylvania, you look at Michigan or Arizona, we are running ahead anywhere from 2 to 7 points from where we were either 4 or 8 years ago. And what that means is, look, 4 years ago, we saw an enormous amount of mail-in ballots transpiring, particularly in the battleground states because of this COVID phenomenon. We're not seeing that. We're seeing in the states that already had their ballots sent out, the mean is going back to where we were in 2016. We're not seeing as many early votes transpiring, going back to the mean of where things were in 2016. All those things are very positive signs for this campaign.
Corey, I think that's a really smart point. And I look back to even 2016 at this point, there was very little infrastructure. It was a pure movement, took the bad guys by surprise. You were right then and there helping orchestrate everything. Where this campaign is far more sophisticated. I mean that not in a way to banish 2016 campaign, but let's be honest, right? That was not exactly premier sophistication. It was President Trump and you and 10 or 12 others that gutted that out. But there is a depth to this campaign that I think is noteworthy, and also a precision. Corey, back in 2020, Donald Trump had to do multiple rallies in Iowa, Ohio, Florida. There's no current plans, maybe to do a rally here or there, to water those plants. It looks as if those are largely good, and we can focus on the decisive states. Is that correct?
It is correct, Charlie, but here's the other thing. We're on the offense, okay? When you look at our polling data in what has not really been a strong state like Virginia, and we're running even or ahead in both the public data and the private data, you look at the same in Minnesota. States where, historically, particularly with a vice presidential nominee on the Democrat side who's from there, and we're within the margin of error, what it's showing is we have the opportunity to expand the map. Yes, everyone is familiar with the 7 battleground states and the 2 congressional districts, Maine 2 and Nebraska, that could go differently. But the reality was we looked at these scenarios back in 16 and again in 20. Today, unlike in 2020, we don't need to be in Florida. We don't need to be in Iowa. And what has historically been the battleground state of Ohio, the last poll that I saw is Donald Trump has about a 14-point lead. Now, that's not to say we will take anything for granted, but that is to show the strength of the campaign that has been built and the sophistication of not just the campaign, but of the candidate who has really honed his message now and is delivering that message over the last 40 days.
And let's talk about what that message is, Corey. It's inflation, it's immigration. In a crisp manner, what is the winning message? What does your polling show, the vibe of the kind of emphasis that we need to have right now?
Well, it's very simple. Everybody remembers how good the economy was 4 years ago when he was the president of the United States. And a rising tide lifted all boats. It didn't matter if you were rich or poor, black, white, green, orange, or blue. It didn't matter your socioeconomic status, your religion, or your ethnicity. Everybody benefited from a Trump administration. And so that is what we're going to recreate. We're going to recreate the opportunity for everyone to have more prosperity and a smaller government. That's first and foremost, because the pocketbook issues are always what drives presidential campaigns. And everybody knows the cost of food, the cost of fuel, the cost of home heating oil, et cetera, continues to escalate because of the policies of the Biden-Harris-Walz administration. And you couple that with this devastating issue of illegal immigration. Now, the government says 10 million people have crossed the border. You and I both know it's probably closer to 20 million. At least 100 people on the terrorist watch list have come in. They're not coming for our beaches, Charlie. They're coming because they want to invade our country. We've seen that in Aurora, Colorado specifically, where migrant gangs are taking over our communities. And they're doing so because Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and Tim Walz have allowed it. And now, what do we see? Kamala's finally going to make her first trip to the border because she understands that the second most important issue behind the economy is the issue of illegal immigration. She's called the Wall of Vanity Project. She's been against the wall for the last 3.5 years. And they've done nothing to stop this porous border on the northern or the southern border, and people's lives are ruined because of it.
That's right. So let's go state by state here, and let's start Blake, can you help navigate these maps, please? Yeah, and Blake is here co-hosting.
Sure.
Corey.
So just there's kind of different scenarios everyone's talking about, and like one we've talked a lot about here is the sort of it's the Nebraska winner-take-all map that's going to matter a lot. So that would be, which one is that? Sorry, just looking through here. I think 153. Is the no winner-take-all map. So we've talked a lot about this one. This is probably, it's the single most likely outcome, I think. So 153, that is where we lose by one electoral vote because we lose Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. It would be a tie with winner-take-all. We didn't get it. There's another one we've talked about as a possibility. This is go to the next one, 154. That is where we could get Pennsylvania, get Georgia, get Arizona, but we lose because we dropped North Carolina due to unfortunate developments. But there's more optimistic maps that we could have. So I want to bring up, let's do 157. So this is going to be a far more upbeat map we're looking at, but there's a prognosticator I've been looking at, and he has a map where if you take 2020's polling miss, because there were some huge misses in certain states like Wisconsin, if you just assume that that level of shy Trump voter is in effect again, and they were thinking it wouldn't be there in 2020, and it was, so maybe it'll be here in 2024 again. If you just take the current polls and imagine, oh, there's a lot of missing Trump voters again, we get a really good result. We get Wisconsin, we get Michigan, we get Pennsylvania, we get back Arizona, we flip Nevada, we flip Georgia. That's what would happen because right now we're polling way, way better than we did in 2020. And that should be a sign for optimism. It's easy to forget. 2020 was really close, but the polls, it looked brutal for us. Yes. It looked like we were going to get destroyed.
Your reaction to all that, Corey?
Yeah, I think you're right. Look, so I think the easiest strategy, when I say the easiest, the most traditional strategy is North Carolina, Georgia, and you add Pennsylvania's 19 electoral votes to it, and you get us to 270. The reality, in my opinion, is, and history proves this, depending on how Pennsylvania goes, Wisconsin traditionally goes the same way, and that's been the case over the last multiple elections. So whether it's Donald Trump who wins them both, and you add Michigan to that in 16, or in the 2020 election, that's what's been the case here. Now, Pennsylvania's the big white whale, right? Donald Trump wins that and gets the 19 electoral votes. But let's just say as an example, and I don't think it would happen, Donald Trump loses North Carolina. We have an opportunity to take back Arizona for sure and to flip Nevada. And you couple that with our victory in Georgia, and all of a sudden we're there. But look, North Carolina has an enormous military population. We've known about this for a long time, and they have been very aware of what the Biden-Harris-Walz administration has done to decimate our military. They're familiar with the Abbey disaster and the withdrawal from Afghanistan, leaving billions of dollars behind. So we have a number of paths forward here. I believe Maine, too, falls with Donald Trump. I believe that we're still on the offense, which is a very different position than we were in 2016. 2016, I think it's fair to say, we took them by surprise. 2020, there was no surprises. He was in the White House. They knew he could win. We had this COVID scenario in front of us, and we had a by and large, a mainstream media who hates Donald Trump and hates his policies because he calls them out for their failures. Now what we have in 2020 is we have a level of intensity that I haven't seen in 8 years, to be very honest. In 2020, people are afraid to be Donald Trump supporters. Now, as I drive around this country and I travel, I see businesses that had never been supportive of Donald Trump with the giant 4x8 signs, and they're saying, this is our last best hope, because if we lose this election, there's nowhere left to go.
Corey, that's well said. I want to encourage the audience to get involved. What is the call to action? Maybe for another segment here. Please, for 20 seconds, plug Trump Force 47.
Yeah, look, Trump Force 47 is our ground game. And what Turning Point is doing and what we're doing is we're getting volunteers engaged, whether it's on knocking on doors or making phone calls. This is where everyday Americans can go. It's not a place that we're soliciting money from, but Trump Force 47 is the opportunity for people who want to make a difference in their country to join us, to go to our website, to sign up to make phone calls from home, to find captains in their areas, particularly in the battleground states and the 2 battleground congressional districts that we need your help in. So if you can help us, it is going to go a long, long way.